Hello, our Lives channel. Today we will learn about the explosive corporate showdown between the Kyriakis clan and Tony DiMera, the heartbreaking adoption battle tearing apart Chanel and Johnny, and the devastating secrets that are about to shake Salem to its core on Wednesday, October 8th. The Kyriakis empire fights back against DiMera's hostile takeover. Salem's corporate landscape is on the verge of a seismic shift as Tony DiMera arrives at the Kyriakis' stronghold with an ultimatum that could reshape the entire business empire that Victor Kyriakis spent decades building. Tony believes he holds all the cards in this high-stakes poker game, armed with damning evidence that could destroy both Philip and Xander's credibility in Salem's business community. The cunning DiMera patriarch has uncovered the shocking truth behind Philip and Xander's takeover of DiMera Enterprises, a calculated scheme that involved deception, manipulation, and potentially criminal fraud. The foundation of this corporate crisis traces back to a forged letter that Philip used to claim half of Titan Industries, a document that was supposedly written by the late Victor Kyriakis but was actually fabricated by Philip's surrogate mother, the notorious schemer Vivian Alamain. This fraudulent letter suggested that Victor had originally intended to leave Philip half of Titan, but only changed his will because Philip had faked his own death and was deemed mentally unstable at the time. Armed with this forgery, Philip successfully challenged Xander's inheritance in court and secured joint control of Titan, which the stepbrothers then leveraged to execute a hostile takeover of DiMera Enterprises when the family company was vulnerable due to leadership chaos. Now Tony DiMera stands before the Kyriakis family with blood in his eyes and vengeance on his mind. His demand is straightforward but devastating. Return DiMera Enterprises immediately and prepare to sell Titan Industries to the DiMera family as compensation for the corporate theft. Philip and Xander find themselves backed into a corner, their faces pale with worry as they realize the precarious position they've created for themselves. The exposure of the forged letter could lead to criminal charges, lawsuits that could bankrupt them personally, and the permanent destruction of their reputations in Salem's tight-knit business community. However, Tony DiMera made one critical miscalculation in his carefully constructed revenge plot. He underestimated the fierce determination and strategic brilliance of Maggie Kyriakis. Victor's widow is not the gentle, submissive woman that some DiMera family members might assume her to be. Maggie has learned from the best, absorbing decades of business wisdom from her late husband, and she possesses an iron will wrapped in velvet diplomacy. When she learns of Tony's ultimatum and sees the fear in her stepson's eyes, Maggie doesn't crumble. She strategizes. Maggie immediately marshals her forces, rallying both Philip and Xander to present a united front against Tony's aggressive demands. She reminds them that they are Victor's legacy, his chosen heirs, and that Titan Industries represents more than just a corporation. It's the Kyriakis family's lifeblood, their identity, their contribution to Salem's economy. With Maggie's leadership, the three Kyriakis family members march into the confrontation with Tony, prepared to give him a taste of his own medicine, matching his threats with counter-threats and his ultimatums with their own demands. The question that hangs in the air like smoke from a battlefield is whether Maggie's intervention will be enough to save Titan from falling into DiMera hands. Can the Kyriakis clan leverage their own secrets about the DiMera family's questionable business practices? Will they threaten to expose Tony's own schemes and manipulations if he pushes forward with legal action? And perhaps most importantly, after all the lies, forgeries, and corporate espionage that Philip and Xander have committed, do they truly deserve to retain control of Victor's empire, or has their deception disqualified them from their inheritance? Chanel and Johnny's desperate quest for parenthood hits a devastating roadblock. Meanwhile, in another corner of Salem, Chanel and Johnny DiMera are experiencing their own crisis as their dreams of becoming parents are crumbling before their eyes. The young couple had convinced themselves that adopting baby Tesoro was practically a done deal, a foregone conclusion that required nothing more than paperwork and patience. Their privileged upbringing had taught them a dangerous lesson, that desire equals entitlement, that wanting something badly enough automatically meant they would receive it. Chanel and Johnny's confidence wasn't based solely on wishful thinking, however. Chanel's mother, Paulina Price, who wields considerable power as Salem's mayor, had virtually promised them that she would pull the necessary strings to ensure baby Tesoro ended up in their arms. After all, Paulina had previously used her political influence to get all murder charges against her beloved daughter dropped, demonstrating that she possessed both the connections and the willingness to bend the rules when her family's happiness was at stake. Why wouldn't she be equally successful in arranging an adoption? But the universe had other plans for the entitled couple. Sophia Choi, the young woman who had secretly surrendered baby Tesoro through Salem's safe haven program, has been working behind the scenes to sabotage Chanel and Johnny's adoption plans. Sophia's motivations are complex and twisted. She's been obsessed with Tate Black for years and has orchestrated an elaborate scheme to frame Johnny DiMera by creating fake evidence of an affair between Johnny and Holly Jonas. Her manipulation has included making an anonymous complaint to the adoption agency, raising concerns about Johnny's character and suitability as an adoptive father. When a social worker named Jillian arrives to conduct a home study evaluation, the visit transforms into an absolute nightmare for Chanel and Johnny. They're confronted with allegations, questions about Johnny's fidelity, and concerns about the stability of their marriage. The couple is stunned to discover that they're not at the top of the agency's waiting list as they had assumed, and worse yet, they haven't even completed the mandatory home study that all prospective adoptive parents must undergo. Their privileged assumption that rules don't apply to them crashes headfirst into the reality that adoption agencies have protocols designed to protect vulnerable children. The revelation that they might actually be denied the opportunity to adopt Tesoro sends Chanel and Johnny into a spiral of disbelief and desperation. They genuinely cannot comprehend being disappointed. The experience of not getting what they want is so foreign to them that it feels like a fundamental injustice rather than a normal life experience. In their minds, they're being treated like regular people or even worse, like poor people, which they view as an incomprehensible tragedy rather than recognizing their own privilege. In their desperation, Chanel and Johnny make a controversial decision. They approach Rafe Hernandez directly, hoping to circumvent the proper adoption channels entirely. Rafe has been serving as baby Tesoro's official foster father since the infant was surrendered at the Salem firehouse, and he's developed a deep protective bond with the child. Chanel and Johnny essentially ask Rafe if he can simply give them the baby, or pull strings on their behalf to move them to the front of the adoption line. Rafe finds himself in an impossible position. He can see that Chanel and Johnny genuinely want to become parents, and their love for each other is evident. However, he's also aware that their sense of entitlement is problematic and that proper adoption procedures exist for good reasons. Can Rafe help them navigate the system properly without showing favoritism? Should he remind them that wanting a baby isn't sufficient qualification to adopt one? And what about the other couples on the waiting list who have been following all the rules and waiting patiently for their chance at parenthood? Adding another layer of complexity to the situation is the ongoing mystery surrounding baby Tesoro's true parentage. Recent DNA test results revealed that Tate Black is not the father, contradicting Sophia's claims throughout her pregnancy. Speculation is swirling throughout Salem that Aaron Green, Tate's dorm mate at Salem University, might actually be Tesoro's biological father. Some theories even suggest that Sophia might have experienced a traumatic assault that she's blocked from her memory, which would explain her desperate desire to distance herself from the baby immediately after birth. These unresolved questions about Tesoro's origins could further complicate any adoption proceedings, and might even halt them entirely until paternity is definitively established. Holly prepares to flee Salem while Tate searches for answers. In yet another emotional storyline unfolding on October 8th, Holly Jonas is making the heartbreaking decision to leave Salem behind and start fresh somewhere far away from the painful memories and complicated relationships that have defined her recent life. The catalyst for Holly's departure is watching Sophia continue to manipulate and pursue Tate Black, Holly's ex-boyfriend and the boy she still harbors deep feelings for. Holly confides her plans to leave town to her best friend Ariana Horton, swearing Ari to absolute secrecy about her intentions. The weight of keeping such a significant secret creates tension for young Ari, who tries to maintain Holly's confidence while also worrying about her friend making such a drastic life decision. Holly is likely planning to join her mother Nicole Walker in France, putting an ocean between herself and the source of her current emotional pain. When Tate realizes that Holly is avoiding him and possibly planning something dramatic, he begins searching for her with increasing urgency. Tate has been caught in the crossfire of Sophia's schemes for months now, manipulated into situations that have damaged his relationship with Holly. He's desperate to explain the truth to Holly and help her understand that the supposed affair and romantic connection between himself and Sophia has been fabricated through lies and manipulation. The question remains whether Tate will locate Holly before she makes her escape from Salem. And if he does find her, will his explanations be enough to convince her to stay and give their relationship another chance? Or has Sophia's manipulation damaged their trust so thoroughly that reconciliation is impossible, leaving Holly with no choice but to seek a fresh start thousands of miles away from the only home she's ever known? Part 2. A breakup no one saw coming. Holly, Ashley Puzimis, has always been a young woman with high expectations, especially when it comes to romance. Raised amid the drama of Salem's most storied families, she learned early that love is rarely simple, and trust even rarer. But even by her own standards, her decision to break things off with Tate Black, Leo Howard, left many fans scratching their heads. Tate, the son of Brady Black and Teresa Donovan, has been through more than his share of heartbreaks, misunderstandings, and family tension. Yet, through it all, he seemed genuinely devoted to Holly. Unfortunately, Holly's patience has always had its limits. And in her mind, Tate crossed a line when his attention began to drift towards someone else. Sophia. Tate's secret mission. According to Tate, his interest in Sophia isn't romantic. He insists that his only goal is to learn more about the mysterious daughter Sophia gave up for adoption years ago, a story that's quickly becoming one of the show's most emotional mysteries. Viewers know Tate's motives are pure. His curiosity is driven not by love for Sophia, but by compassion and an instinct that something about the baby's disappearance doesn't add up. But Holly doesn't see it that way. To her, attention is love, and any time Tate spends worrying about another woman feels like a betrayal. The result? A heated confrontation that leaves both parties hurt, defensive, and further apart than ever. Holly's game of disappearing ex. Rather than face the pain of rejection head-on, Holly decides to play a little game. She turns to her close friend Ari, Marissa Reyes, asking her not just for sympathy, but for secrecy. Holly begs Ari to keep her whereabouts hidden from Tate. It's a move that might seem childish, but in true Days of Our Lives fashion, it's also layered with deeper motives. Is Holly trying to make Tate jealous? Or is she genuinely unsure of what she wants and running away from the chaos she's created? Ari agrees to help, though she knows it's a dangerous move. She's caught in the middle, torn between loyalty to her friend and the knowledge that keeping secrets in Salem never ends well. What starts as a favor could soon spiral into something far more destructive. Meanwhile, Tate won't give up. While Holly hides, Tate continues his investigation into Sophia's past. His determination grows stronger with each new clue. The daughter Sophia gave up is at the heart of something much bigger than he realizes. Every path he follows seems to lead back to the same name, Tesoro. And that name, as longtime viewers know, is no coincidence. There's a storm brewing beneath the surface of Salem, and Tate's search might just blow it wide open. What he doesn't realize is that Holly's tantrum and his mission are about to collide, and the fallout could change both their lives forever. Sarah Horton on the case. Enter Sarah Horton, Lindsay Godfrey, one of Salem's most intelligent and determined doctors. Sarah's no stranger to loss, love, or secrets. She's been piecing together clues for weeks, and it's becoming clear she's dangerously close to uncovering the truth about Tesoro. And, even more explosively, about who Tesoro's parents really are. If Sarah connects the final dots, the revelation could send shockwaves through multiple families in Salem. Rumor has it that Tesoro's real lineage may tie together two households that have been at odds for years, and expose a betrayal that dates back long before Tate and Holly ever met. A love triangle or something more sinister? At first glance, This might look like a typical Salem love triangle. One young man torn between two women, but the truth runs deeper. Holly's emotional instability, Tate's fixation on solving a mystery, and Sophia's shadowy past are threads in a much larger web, one woven with lies, lost identities, and old rivalries that refuse to die. For Holly, the breakup might feel like a power move, a way to reclaim attention and control. But in reality, she's losing both. Salem has a way of humbling even its most headstrong residents. When the truth about Tesoro finally comes out, Holly may realize that her drama with Tate was just a small ripple in a much bigger storm. The calm before the explosion. In a town where everyone has a secret, Sarah's discovery could be the spark that sets off the next major explosion. Once she uncovers who Tesoro's real parents are, nothing will be the same. Tate may have to choose between loyalty to his family and his love for Holly. Holly, in turn, may learn that her manipulative games have far more serious consequences than a bruised ego. As for Ari, her simple promise to keep Holly's location a secret could drag her into a scandal she never wanted to be part of. Salem has seen its share of heartbreak, but rarely has one secret held the power to ruin so many lives at once. Looking ahead. Days of Our Lives fans know that stories like these always build toward a dramatic reveal, and that reveal is coming fast. When Sarah finally puts all the pieces together, the truth about Tesoro's origins could reshape Salem's entire social fabric. And when it does, Holly, Tate, and Sophia will find themselves standing at the center of the storm, guilty, betrayed, and forever changed. So while Holly may think she's calling the shots for now, the game she's playing could soon turn on her. In Salem, love and lies go hand in hand, and sometimes the price of pride is losing everything.